Level 1. Broke and desperate. Your alarm screams at 5 a.m., and the sound cuts through your skull like a blade. You're lying on a second-hand mattress in a studio apartment the size of a parking spot. Walls stained with mold, ceiling leaking into a bucket you empty every other day, radiator that either burns or freezes with nothing in between. The fridge holds a quarter bottle of ketchup, 2 eggs, and a dream you haven't killed yet. You're juggling two minimum wage jobs, gas station days, pizza delivery nights, surviving on convenience store hot dogs and credit cards that are maxed to the limit and beyond. The rent is 3 days late. Your landlord has moved from texts to voicemails. You own one pair of dress shoes held together by superglue and pure determination, and you wear them to job interviews in between shifts. Every single dollar is a war. Every week is a math problem with no clean solution. But somewhere in that cramped, exhausted room, between the dripping ceiling and the thin walls and the sound of your neighbors arguing, something restless and dangerous is quietly waking up inside you. You don't have a plan yet, but you have a fury, and that's enough to start. Level 2. The side hustle grind. You start seeing gaps where other people see nothing. A beat-up dresser on the curb catches your eye. You sand it, repaint it, flip it on Facebook Marketplace for $180 profit. You mow 3 lawns on Saturday, resell clearance electronics on eBay at midnight while your roommates sleep, tutor a neighbor's kid in math for $20 an hour. Your phone never sleeps, and neither do you. Every free hour is a transaction. Every skill you have is now a product. The first time your side income beats your day job income in the same week, you sit quietly in your car for a long moment and feel something shift inside your chest. You open a real bank account, the kind without monthly fees. You read every business book in the public library, scribbling notes in the margins of a spiral notebook you bought for 79 cents. People around you call it a hustle. You call it your first company. You are building something real, one small sale at a time, and the city has no idea what's coming. Level 3. First real business. You file for an LLC with $50 and a prayer, sitting at a folding table in the corner of your bedroom with a ring light, a laptop, and a hunger that keeps you up until 2 a.m. most nights. You land your first real client. A local restaurant that needs a website, a contractor drowning in leads he can't manage, a small business owner who just needs someone obsessed enough to actually show up and deliver. You hire your first helper, your cousin, who shows up 20 minutes late every day but works like a machine once he's there. Revenue breaks $80,000 in year 1. You move into a one-bedroom apartment, alone, with a door that locks properly, a kitchen where nothing drips, and silence that feels like a reward you haven't quite earned yet, but are starting to believe you deserve. You call your mother and tell her things are going okay. She cries. You almost do too. You go back to work. Level 4. Small business owner revenue crosses $500 million, and the number still doesn't feel real when you see it on a spreadsheet. You hire a real team, 5 people, actual health insurance, a payroll system that runs without you manually writing checks. You sign a lease on a real office with glass walls and a door that closes and a conference room where you hold your first staff meeting, trying not to look as stunned as you feel. Your name starts appearing in local business press, entrepreneur to watch, rising voice in the industry, and strangers email asking for advice. You buy a used BMW, 2 years old, and the first time you park it and walk away without worrying about whether it'll start when you come back, something in your body unclenches that you didn't know had been clenched for years. You open a SEP IRA, make your first investment in an index fund, and feel the quiet power of money that works while you sleep. Your parents stop asking when you're going to get a real job. You don't explain, you just keep building. Level 5. The $1 million moment. It happens on a Tuesday afternoon. You're sitting in your car in a parking garage eating a sandwich when you open your brokerage app out of habit, and the number reads $1 million for the first time in your life. You stare at it. You take a screenshot. You don't post it. You don't call anyone. You finish the sandwich and go back upstairs and send 3 emails. But something in you has permanently changed. You buy a townhouse, 2,400 square feet, a garage, a backyard with actual grass where you stand barefoot one evening, just because you can. You start angel investing, $25,000 into a friend's logistics startup, $15,000 into a health app you believe in. You hire an accountant, a lawyer, and an assistant who handles the calendar, the inbox, the things that were quietly eating your hours. You fly business class for the first time and feel a flash of guilt about how comfortable the seat is. You get over it in 11 minutes. You order the good wine. You have earned this. You know it. You move on. Level 6, Serious Investor. You sell your first business for $4 million, and the wire confirmation lands in your inbox on a grey Wednesday morning, like a message from another dimension. You stare at it for a long time. Then you forward it to your accountant and move on. You deploy the capital strategically. 2 commercial properties in cities you believe in, a portfolio of rental units managed by someone else, board seats at 3 early-stage tech companies where your check is big enough to matter. You move to a house in a neighborhood where people recognize the street name. A private chef cooks twice a week. A personal assistant manages your calendar with military precision. You join a CEO peer group for the first time and sit in a room full of people who actually understand the specific, quiet loneliness of being the person who has to decide everything, always, without showing doubt. You discover that money solves almost every practical problem in your life and creates an entirely different category of problems you were completely unprepared for. You are learning those too. Level 7, the $100 M Club. One of your early bets, a logistics software company you backed at seed for $200,000 when everyone told you the market was too crowded, goes public on a Thursday morning, and your stake is suddenly worth $67 million. You watch the ticker on your phone from a hotel room in Austin and feel something closer to vertigo than joy. You are now in a room that most people spend their entire lives reading about but never enter. You acquire 2 companies in the following 18 months, merge their teams carefully, double their combined revenue. Your family office has its own staff of 4. The press covers your deals. Politicians return your calls the same day. You build a 6,000 square foot home in a gated community, a pool, a gym, a guest house nobody ever uses. You collect art, some pieces you love, some you bought as investments, and you've genuinely lost track of which is which. You endow a building at your alma mater with your name on it, and stand at the dedication ceremony, smiling for photographs, feeling less than you expected. You thought it would feel like arrival. It feels more like a checkpoint. You keep moving. Level 8, Empire Builder. You build a holding company, and it becomes the frame around everything else. You acquire a regional media brand, a mid-sized manufacturing firm in Ohio, a health tech startup with 300,000 active users that hasn't yet figured out what it actually is. You now have 2,000 employees across 8 cities, people with mortgages and kids and ambitions and anxieties, all of it sitting inside a structure that has your name at the top. Your net worth clears $500 million, and the number feels completely abstract, like a figure in someone else's story. You own 2 planes, one for work, configured for long flights with a bed and a desk, one for family, which your wife picked out and which your children have started to regard as normal. Your children attend schools you once read about in magazines. You have dinner with 2 senators in the same month. You sit on 3 nonprofit boards and attend roughly a third of the meetings and feel guilty about the other 2/3. You have everything. You have less time than you have ever had in your life. You are starting to understand that these 2 facts are not unrelated. Level 9, the $1 billion mark. The Bloomberg terminal lists your name on a Monday morning, Billionaire. The word sits in front of you like a label designed for someone else, someone larger and more certain than you feel on most days. You move into a 14,000 square foot estate on 40 acres, a full-time chef, a groundskeeper who knows every inch of the property, a security team that travels behind you in a second black SUV so seamlessly you sometimes forget they're there. Your children have never pumped their own gas and have no idea what a bounce check looks like, and you find yourself lying awake some nights, wondering what that cost them in ways you can't measure. Your divorce is finalized after 14 months of negotiation. It costs $180 million. Your lawyers call it a clean outcome. You fund a hospital wing in the city where you grew up, a scholarship endowment at 3 universities, a clean energy research lab at MIT, not out of guilt, you insist to yourself, but because the problems are real and you have the resources and someone has to. Forbes ranks you 312th in the world. The ranking irritates you more than it pleases you. You don't know exactly what that says about you. You don't stop to find out. Level 10. The legend. Your name is a verb now. People in business schools use it in case studies. Strangers on the internet argue about whether you're a genius or a villain. And the answer, as far as you can tell, is that both camps are partially right and neither has the full picture, and it no longer keeps you up at night. TED invites you twice. You testify before a Senate subcommittee about technology monopolies and spend 3 hours being questioned by people who didn't understand the industry 5 years ago and mostly still don't, and you answer carefully and leave with nothing resolved. You launch a foundation with a $2 billion endowment focused on education, climate, and pandemic preparedness. You back a private moon program because you believe in it in your bones, and because, for the first time in your life, absolutely no one can tell you no. You buy a professional sports team and the city adores you for 3 seasons and then turns on you over a contract dispute you handled with complete financial logic and zero emotional intelligence. And you accept this as a fair trade. On a Tuesday morning in October, you sit on the back deck of your ranch in Montana, 300 acres of silence, elk in the far field, coffee going cold in your hand, and you feel the same restless, unsatisfied hunger you felt in that leaking studio apartment 20-something years ago. You are not sure if you won. You are not sure winning was ever the right word for what you were doing. You were moving. You kept moving. Maybe that was always the whole point.